Okay, YouTubers, this is the Angryprepper. So today's episode, we're going to talk about getting ready for more lockdowns, or another lockdown, rather. Now, as of right now, there are variants popping up all over the country, all over the world, actually. And the White House, either yesterday or the day before yesterday, had spoke to the heads of state, asking them what are their lockdown options if we do it again. And I'm thinking they're asking them what their lockdown protocol is or what their threshold is for locking down. Now, being that there's so many new variants popping up, it's hard to keep up with, but there is a new one from Colombia that made its way to Florida. I'll give you the designation of that one now. So that's another variant that they have to contend with. And here's the problem, guys. All these variants are popping up now. It sort of deems the current vaccine invalid because you have too many variants popping up too fast for them to keep up with the vaccination. So here's the rub, guys. Another lockdown will absolutely destroy this country, and it will absolutely destroy a lot of cities. A lot of cities are going to get destroyed behind this if we go through another lockdown. Here's why. Another lockdown is going to present more problems. The first problem it's going to present is businesses failing and or closing down permanently, forever. A lot of businesses, guys, closed down during the first lockdown, never to reopen again. There were businesses that were hanging on by the skin of their teeth. And if they go through another lockdown, they're not going to be able to survive that because the next lockdown is probably going to be a lot longer, right? And a lot harder and probably more restrictions. Unemployment would undoubtedly skyrocket. With all these businesses closing down, guys, we're definitely going to see more people out of work. So I hate to say it, a lot of the smaller businesses are going to be the ones affected by this, not the big businesses. Corporations like Walmart, Target, Walgreens, CVS, Amazon, they're not going to really be affected by this. But the smaller businesses are the businesses that are going to get affected. And smaller chain stores will be affected as well, right? So we're going to have we're going to see a lot of these problems if we go through another lockdown. So that's going to be more people out of work. Now, with more people out of work, that means less money or no money. The government's going to have to subsidize those people who are now out of work because of the lockdown. The food lines are going to be exponentially long or longer than we saw last year. Now, we saw some long-ass food lines last year. We're going to see longer ones this year because there's nowhere for them. There's no money for them. They have to go somewhere, and that's where the free old food is, the food lines, the food banks, sorry. Frustration. Frustration is going to be the kicker of the next riots. There are going to be so many people frustrated that they lost their jobs, that they have no money or making no money, and that they're confined to their homes again. Frustration is already building because people are talking about, the government's talking about people putting a mask back on. So that's already starting. So now imagine being confined to your home again, and now you have no money, nowhere to go, and what do you think is going to happen? People are going to take to the streets. So we're going to see more rioting if we go through another lockdown, because that is just how it works, guys. We saw what happened last year. People were fed up and exploded. We're going to see the same explosion, if not worse, because I think we're going to see harsher restrictions after the people riot in the streets, because if people start rioting in the streets, they're going to have to call the National Guards in. They call the National Guards in, guys. The lockdowns are going to be way more stricter to the point where there's either nobody on the street or we're going to see actual curfews, especially here in New York City, where there was sort of a curfew, but no one was listening. I think this time around, people are going to be listening because it's going to be a lot worse. Now that we've just discussed what might be happening, if there is another lockdown, the things that might happen, we need to come up with solutions, right? So I don't want to give you guys problems and no solutions. There are enough channels that do that. The solution here is we need to continue to prep. We need to continue to go to the supermarkets and buy the things we need. You'll see, guys, I will say this a million fucking times. Go to the supermarket and look for the sales. We said this already, right? I've said this already. Look for the stuff you're gonna eat. Again, the cookbook idea. Look at things that you wanna make when you're probably gonna be on lockdown and say, wow, I'd like to try that dish, and get the ingredients for that dish and get a lot of those ingredients. Because I can guarantee you if it's your first time making that dish, you're gonna fuck it up. So try to get enough of it so that you can practice over and over again. Listen guys, some of you are going to listen to the lockdown and stay in your homes. Some of you are going to be scared of the new variants coming out and you're gonna stay in your homes. The rest of us, we're not gonna be scared. We're gonna go out there and we're gonna continue to do what we do regardless. Though there might not be people around, though restaurants might not be open, I'm gonna continue to go out and, let's say, camp, hike, things like that, that you don't need the city for. It could get old, it could get, redundant, but nonetheless, it's better than staying in your home, and it's better than listening to a fucking asshole mayor and governor telling you you can't go outside when you can absolutely do what the fuck you want to do in the wilderness. Start buying freeze-dried goods. I said this 1,000 times. I have 2 links in the description section below where you can look at. Nutrient Survival is one of the best foods out there, I think. In my opinion, Patriot Supplies is also good. Those 2 are the ones I've tested and tasted. Now, there's some premium shit out there, guys, that you can absolutely look into, but they're expensive by the bag. It's not even like by the box, guys. By the bag, they're super expensive. But nonetheless, if you want to go with the premium ones, by all means. But Nutrient Survival, for its money, is really good, and Patriot Food Supply is really good for its money as well. So look into those and make your decision after that. Now, if you have the space, start your own garden, guys. It looks like that's going to be the better option because we're definitely going to see less food at the supermarkets and less food at the food bank because of what's going on out west. So if you have the space and you have the patience, start your own garden. Grow your own fruits and vegetables. That, I think, is going to be the way to go for a lot of us. I said before in my last video, head over to the local farmers and buy my produce there. Just because if there's a lockdown here, a lot of those places stay open because they're essential businesses, right? A lot of places here are going to get annihilated with all the people that are in the city. When I can go upstate somewhere and do my shopping there and or visit a farmer that I know or somebody who has a garden that's going to let me buy from them, buy from them. I'm not taking shit from anyone. I'm buying it from you. And even if you don't want the money, guess what I'm doing? You're gonna have fucking, $30, $40 under a rock somewhere. You'll find it later, But nonetheless, that's what needs to be done. Because I think the produce here are starting to look a little light. I just went shopping the other day and I looked at the produce section and it was looking a little light. They were trying to make it look like plentiful by putting shit underneath to make it look like, make it pop out, but it's starting to look a little light, at least in the supermarket I was in. The one I was in was Fairway. I don't know if that was just because people annihilated the place the day before or not, but I did see a difference in the produce in that Fairway. Now, like I said before, learn how to cook. For a lot of us, we don't know how to cook. Learn how to cook with the supplies, guys, that you're also putting away, right? So if you're putting canned beans away, learn how to incorporate those canned beans, canned goods, into a meal. Try to turn those can of beans or the raviolis from Chef Boyardee into a gourmet meal. Now, there's no such thing as a gourmet meal with Chef Boyardee. There isn't, but work with me here, all right? So try to, if you guys those of you who love Spam, turn Spam into a gourmet meal. Turn that Spam meal into some shit eating Gordon Ramsay. Be like, yo, this is delicious, So learn how to cook. Learn how to cook the meals, or learn how to cook with the supplies that you have in your supply closet, guys. That's the best way to go about it as well. You don't just want to take the can of beans, open it and dump it in a pot, cook it and eat it. No, flavor that shit up. Do some shit with it. Make it exciting as possible. I know there's no such thing as exciting when you're fucking locked in your homes, but for those of you that are going to abide by the rules, take their supplies and work with it. Here's the other options, guys. Take up a new hobby that involves the outdoors, right? Listen, it doesn't have to be just outdoors, but like crocheting. I know a lot of people took that shit up during the pandemic. Photography, flying a kite, though I don't know why the fuck that's a hobby, but flying a kite. Get a drone, fly drones around. There's a lot of things you can do to keep yourself busy. And if you pick up a few hobbies, you'll always be busy, especially if you turn that hobby into a YouTube channel. Just an idea. Guys, also you can start joining outdoor groups. Now, there are some outdoor groups here in New York City, I have to say this, that if you are not vaccinated, you can't join their group. That being said, guys, that's a whole nother argument on its own, but form a group of people that you can hang out with, that want to hang out with you, and that's another way of getting around the lockdown. We are inching every day, probably every hour, towards another lockdown. If another lockdown comes, guys, we have 2 choices. Either we take to the streets and protest, or we quietly, like bitch mice as we are, hang out in our apartments and say, when is this gonna end? I'd rather the first one. I'd rather take to the streets and let these motherfuckers know enough already with the bullshit. But this is why there's a division starting, the unvaccinated versus the vaccinated. Because if we do take to the streets, we're gonna be at each other's throats in the streets. Other than that, guys, this is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching. You can like and subscribe to this channel. You can also follow me on all the links in the description section below. See you in the next video.